Excited to be talking here. So my name is Rajeshwari, Raji in short, and I am part of Accenture, and I lead the India MuleSoft capability, and also driving the Salesforce Automation Center of Excellence globally. So one of my favorite topic here, and I love to share my insights around the same. I have Pratyush with me on the meeting. And over to you, Pratyush, for your introduction and get started.
Thank you, Raji. Thank you very much. Good morning, good evening, everybody. So my name is Pratyush Shukla, and I'm working in Accenture as a DevOps architect. Currently, with my role and during my tenure, I'm working on implementing various DevOps solutions in various Salesforce projects working on the CRM. So with that said, when we are talking about DevOps and its security, let's first see what actually DevOps is, and then probably we'll move on to the later section. Let's start with the name here, which is DevOps. So if you see, it is a combination of two terms, development and operations. So mean to represent a collaborative shared approach to the task performed by company's application development team and IT operations. DevOps is a philosophy that promotes better communication and collaboration between these teams uh, in an organization, of course. So in its most narrow interpretation, DevOps describes the adaptation to iterative software development, automation, and programmable infrastructure, deployment and maintenance, of course. So the term also covers over here about the cultural changes such as building trust and cohesion between developers and system administrators, and aligning technological projects to business requirements. Here you see various standard application lifecycle diagram, and I would just like to talk about that all these phases how DevOps is required. So let's see from the planning phase. In the planning phase, DevOps team ideates, define, and describe features and capabilities of the application and system that are building. So they track progress at a low level to high level of the granularity, create backlogs, tracking bugs, managing agile software development with Scrum, using Kanban boards, and visualizing progress with dashboards are some of the ways how DevOps team plan, and with visibility and agility. Again, talking about the development part of it. In development, using usually it includes aspects of coding, writing, and testing, and reviewing the code, and integration of the code by the team member, as well as building the code into build artifacts that can be deployed in various environments. DevOps teams seek to innovate rapidly without sacrificing quality, stability, and productivity here. To do that, they use highly productive tools, automate manual steps, and iterate in small increment through automated testing and continuous integration. On the delivery part, and delivery is a process of deploying the application into a production environment in a consistent and reliable way. So in the delivery phase, we also includes deploying and configuring the fully governed foundational infrastructure that makes up those environments. So in the delivery phase, a team defines a release management process with a clear manual approval gates. They also set automated gates, moving application between the stages until they made available to their customers. So automating these process makes them scalable, repeatable, and in a controlled manner. This way, team who practice DevOps can deliver frequently with the ease, confidence, and a peace of mind. When it comes to operate, this phase involves usually maintaining, monitoring, and troubleshooting of the application in production environments. And in adopting DevOps practices, teamwork ensures system reliability and high availability. aiming zero downtime while reinforcing security and governance. So DevOps team seeks to identify issues before they affect the customer experience and mitigate issues quickly when they do occur. Down below, I have just listed out few DevOps best practices. Let's quickly have a look on these best practices when it comes to DevOps. And later, definitely, we'll see how security comes into the picture here. So the first one, which is listed out here, is build a collaborative culture. So the whole point of DevOps is to improve collaboration and eliminate silos between development and operations and quality assurance team. That is very important. So this way the software can be developed and shipped to customer faster. Use agile project management is another best practice. While in agile, it is an interactive project management approach that helps software engineering team executing higher quality projects faster. So this is another best practice which is used to move things faster in the game. Adapting CI/CD is another best practice used for integrating code changes from different contributors into the central repository. Continuous integration also allows developers to merge code changes frequently, use automated tools to test the code correctness, and continuous delivery in a DevOps practice that gets the code from continuous integration into the production. So now that we have looked into what is DevOps and what is its significance, Raji, what do you think, how security comes into picture and what are its significance in this entire DevOps model?
Thanks, Pratyush. Thanks for highlighting the best practices just within DevOps, right? And about the collaborative culture that is important for adopting a good DevOps culture. So, with the advent of frameworks like Agile and other iterative development frameworks and DevOps itself, the speed to market of features to applications increased rapidly, right? It was very easy to release features into production quickly than earlier days. But what also happened was it increased the probability of exposure to vulnerabilities in the applications, and also developing less compliant application with respect to regulations, with respect to governance, and increase the risks associated with vulnerabilities in the applications. So what you see here is security going hand in hand with development and operations, and there's also a feedback loop that you see in here, right? So security, it cannot be an afterthought. So it has to be embedded within this framework of continuous delivery, where it starts from planning to end with operations and release, and then it goes into a feedback loop. And at every cycle, there is an emphasis on security. And how do we make sure that even during planning that we are able to model the threats that might come with the development of a particular product or application? How do we securely design the application? And of course, moving on into secure programming practices, how do we convert those models into misuse test cases that can be automated? How do we do all those negative testing, right? Thinking like a hacker and testing the application. Of course, there are a lot of automated tools available. We have static code analysis, we have dynamic testing, security testing tools, interactive testing tools, SCA, which is a software composition analysis, and all of it comes as part of the development lifecycle. And of course, along with that, during the operations phase, it's important. How do we control access to the production? Who has access to what data within the, not just the production environment? I think if we talk about the enterprises, it applies to everywhere. Your version control, any other applications that you're integrating within the enterprise, etc. How do we make sure that we are compliant to all the regulatory standards that are there? Auditing, are we able to track any malicious activity within the applications, and how do we continuously monitor the applications to make sure that the application is secure, it's not exposed to vulnerabilities, etc. And there goes the feedback loop. It's an evolution. I don't think we can build DevSecOps in a day. It's a culture. It has to evolve. We put in practices day by day and then make sure that the application is completely secure. So we'll try to cover some of the best practices for DevSecOps in this session. It's definitely not an exhaustive list, but we want to touch upon some of the things that organization and enterprises can adopt to make sure that there is a strong DevSecOps culture within the teams. So most important thing, I think it's always people, process, technology, and governance. So it is very important that there is an organizational priority with respect to security, and everyone in the organization, whether it's the line of business teams, the IT teams, everyone is aware of that priority and goal, and it's cascaded within the organization effectively, and everyone understands the impacts of any security risk that is there, and are aware of what needs to be done in case an incident happens, and how do we make sure that we prevent such incidents. And so that's very important, that there is a collaboration within the teams across the organization, and security team or experts cannot be a siloed out sub-organization. They need to be embedded within the processes of all the applications within the enterprise, and there is a collaborative culture. There is transparency around the controls that are applied to maintain secure applications, to maintain a secure enterprise overall. So I think transparency it's very important. It's not like if you don't say that there is a vulnerability, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. So I think it's very important the teams understand the importance of the controls that's applied, the policies that are applied, and ensure that they are open about vulnerabilities within the application and try to mitigate the risks. The next thing would be training. Very important. I think it's not just about the general security training practices that every organization or employee goes through during onboarding, but it's also about, again, a continuous process where there are both generic trainings, both again physical and software assets within the organization infrastructure, but it also needs to be specialized training for the processes and assets that a particular employee uses. So there needs to be specialized training on what are the risks associated with doing certain things, and how do we protect data from not being tampered. So all of that needs to be covered in trainings, and ensuring that the organization, again, the teams understand what are the impacts. So if you see here, I think, as you see, both within DevOps, I think security becomes a very integral and very continuous component of the application lifecycle, where it evolves every day. And it is important that there is an empowering structure, as I talked about, right? That there is transparency, there is an empowering structure, that teams understand what security means to the organizational goals and priorities. And at the end of the day, it is not the responsibility of a security team or a security organization. It's a shared responsibility of everyone across the enterprise, and the best practices are shared across teams, and making sure that everyone is accountable for the assets of the organization. So very important. It's important to involve security subject matter experts during every phase, and I think it will help to involve. Sorry about that. Yeah. So involving SMEs across all the processes, or across or throughout the application delivery life cycle. So so for me, I think the cultural shift in terms of adopting DevSecOps as a practice is very important. It's very important for the teams to understand within the enterprise, to talk about it, to get trained on it, and make sure that they are building secure, designing and building secure applications. So with that, so Pratyush, I think we talked about agility and speed to market, which is very important in these days where the digital disruption is just huge.
Correct.
So with security coming into the picture in the DevOps space, there is a concern about, will it slow down, right? So how important is automation within this within this whole process?
Definitely. So, Raji, when it is slowing down there, automation is a a real requirement here in DevOps. And when I say automation in DevOps, it's just not the functional automation testing we are talking about here. However, automation testing also plays a very important role in it, though there are a lot to talk about this in this area or in this topic. I'll try to cover it in a real crispier manner. I'm talking about various automation we used in our DevOps space, or I can say DevSecOps space. So theoretically speaking, you could perform DevOps process like continuous integration, continuous delivery, and log analytics manually. But doing so would require a large team, a lot of time, and a level of communication and coordination between team members that is just not realistic in most situations. Automation make it possible to perform these processes using software tools and preset configurations. It's very important to note that automation is in DevOps does not remove human from a picture entirely. Even the best automated DevOps process requires human oversight and intervention when things go wrong or something needs to be updated. Still, automation minimize dependency on human or managing basics recurring tasks within the DevSecOps practices. One thing to note here that when processes are highly automated, they are also consistent and predictable because there are no changes happening. So a software automation tools will always do same thing unless it is reconfigured to otherwise. The same is not true to the human engineers. So there are many processes and practices that go into DevOps and they vary from one organization to another organization. So although in an ideal world, you would fully automate everything, in the real world, you often have to pick and choose what to prioritize and when build automation. So this decision is different for every DevOps team, of course, but in general, it is wise to prioritize few processes, and those I've tried to mention over here, a couple of processes which probably would need automation at some point in time. So starting with continuous integration and continuous deployment, talking about continuous integration, it is a software development practice that usually involves a member of team frequently integrating with work using automation to verify the integration, a series of tests and an output of results. While in continuous deployment, deploying a software update directly through the delivery environment to production or any higher environment, let's say QA or UAT, you can take it with just one deployment request. So this is often called as zero touch deployment, as there are no manual steps incurred in this process. Automation take care of a software build, packaging, deployment, and deployment verification, and orchestration of the deployment pipeline. However, the second best or the important area of it is automation testing, or I can say it as a functional testing, which is something where our quality professionals prepare the automated UI test cases and validate that end-to-end user experience within DevOps structure. This test run in again in CI/CD pipelines and provide the results. Nowadays, I see that with this new generation, new gen DevOps tools, has inbuilt capability to showcase the testing results and even create a ticket in ALM for the failed test cases, which is very nice. The next and again important thing comes in monitoring. Now you might be thinking that what is monitoring doing here? So let me explain you. With DevOps, the expectation is to develop faster. Expectation is going up a ladder over here. So test regularly and release more frequently, all while improving quality and cutting cost. to help achieve all these, DevOps monitoring entails overseeing the entire development process from planning, development, integration, and testing. So deployment and operations also. It involves a complete and a real-time view of a status of application, services, and infrastructure in the production environment. Now, static and dynamic code analysis is also something which comes when we talk about security, and managing vulnerabilities involves a wide array of security testing. Both dynamic and static code analysis help us finding these vulnerabilities and security gaps well ahead in time. Static code analysis is an adequate for, I can say, for understanding security issues within the program or a code. And we can usually pick about 85% of flaw in the code, while in dynamic code review has additional ability to find security issues caused by the code interaction with other systems components like SQL databases, application servers, or web services. So all these actually, we need to do automation to make DevOps little faster. So with a lot of tools which is present to automate, Raji, if I can ask you this question, how can we ensure that we identify definitely there are static scans and dynamic scans are there, but how we ensure that we identify the vulnerabilities early in the cycle?
Yeah, thanks, Pratyush. So yeah, again, I think within DevSecOps, this is one of the favorite topics, right? How do we shift security left? A lot of times when we talk about DevSecOps, it comes down to, or it starts with, I would say, most organizations starts utilizing code scans, and as you said, the different security testing tools for automation, and that's where it usually starts, because and also embed them into the CI/CD pipeline. But what is more important, or what will make it easier in the long term, is to shift this processes to the left, wherein we start early in the application development life cycle. How do we identify the risks, threats, and potential vulnerabilities much early during the planning phase? Can we do that, right? And there are a lot of methodologies that are in place which can help us do that. So we call it threat modeling. And I'm not going to talk specific to Salesforce itself, but in general, I think across the enterprise, it is important to have a catalog of assets that needs to be protected, how to maintain that catalog, and making sure that we know what assets are there in the organization, what could be exposed to vulnerabilities. I think it is very important to catalog those assets. And along with that, it's also important that the organization or the security experts and the different teams understands the entities interacting with the different assets in the enterprises, the architecture that includes all the integration flows, the data flows, business processes. There could be vulnerability anywhere hidden within the enterprise, and it could expose a lot of assets along with it. So I think it's important that this kind of modeling is done very early. And when it comes to a specific programming, whether it is Salesforce or any other SaaS applications, or any application for that matter, again, it's important to involve security experts to do this modeling exercise along with product owners, along with the engineers and operations team. Think like hackers, right? When we start designing the application. So one of them, there are a lot of threat modeling methodologies that are available, but one popular one, and I think a lot of you might already know, that the STRIDE model, so which stands for spoofing, tampering, repudiation, information disclosure, denial of service, and elevation of privilege. All of these are basic ones, right? Which we could already model when we think of what we are doing as in our product. We know already what are the vulnerabilities that could attack our product. So these are things that we could already model. And also, try to mitigate the risks associated with it. So I'm not going to deep dive into each of this, but just to touch upon, right? For example, spoofing. As in, pretending as someone else and logging in. It primarily deals with authentication. So how do we make sure that we have a secure authentication process in place? Tampering of data. making sure that people have the right access and the data is not tampered, maintaining the integrity of the data. What do we need to do in order to maintain the integrity of data within application? So information disclosure, denial of service, related to availability and authorization of information, right? We need to make sure that we are giving the right access to the right systems for the right people. It needs to be restricted to a level where they can perform their role effectively. There is no need for increased privileges for the users. So I think all of these needs to be configured and designed much early in the cycle, and that will translate into your automation pipeline, right, or your automation suite, where all of these goes into that suite to test it out early and identify vulnerabilities much earlier in the cycle rather than just going for static code scans, right? So securing by design, right, where we fundamentally secure applications and implement the right security practices. So we talked about the STRIDE model earlier, and what it means is how do we provide the least privilege access, right? We provide views, roles, and profiles in Salesforce. How do we configure to make sure that only the right people have the right amount of privileges to the data that's available? How do we secure and encrypt customer data, whether it's at rest or at transit, using multi-factor authentication? How do we convert the threats that we discussed so far, right, into misuse test cases that goes into automation test suits for security? So creating the right policies, password policies, or whether it is transactional policies, like how do we make sure that there is no denial of service attacks when you are let's say for APIs? How do we implement policies related to throttling, etc., to make sure that that the triad that you see here, right, which is like I could call the pillars of security. How do we ensure that we maintain confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data? So all of this could start early in the life cycle of application development during the planning and designing phase, so that we are much ahead in the game when we design a product or application. So in the interest of time, I'm not deep diving into secure programming practices. I think there's a lot of interesting blogs out there on following good coding standards with respect to security. But I also want to touch a little upon the operation side of thing, right? The incident management part of it. I think with all the preparations and planning that we do, and as we have seen in the last few days, right, and what has happened, I think it's also important that we know how to respond to an incident. How do we mitigate the risks associated with attacks? Do we have the right monitoring tools? Do we have the right alert systems? Do we have good run books in place when we are when there is a security vulnerability exposure? And having a comprehensive response plan for such security incidents, I think it's very important. It's like doing a mock drill, right? For example, to make sure that you are prepared for any such incidents. And once it has happened, it is also important for the evaluation, right? That feedback loop that we talked about, doing a blameless postmortem. It's not at the end of the day falling on one person. It's about the overall DevSecOps culture and process that we need to discuss about on what went wrong, and how could we make sure that we prevent it in the future and assess our readiness for future incidents. So I think a lot of things to think about, a lot of best practices. Pratyush covered it on the automation front. Lot of these efforts will be reduced with automation, because there are a lot of tools available. Let's say for even for threat modeling, I think there are automated um, models available that could be used. And of course, our usual code scans and all the DevOps tools that we talk about will make sure that we are able to balance the governance along with speed to market that we always wanted to achieve, right? It need not slow down any of the uh, development processes that we're talking about. It's just part of the whole DevOps culture. Security, it becomes an integral part of it.